tell me first, here in Texas, obviously we had the school shooting yesterday, and those parents and kids in that specific community are dealing with a lot of emotions today. But really throughout Texas, I know a lot of parents are kind of struggling with how to talk to their kids, and some kids are scared going back to school. How can parents talk to their kids about what they're feeling after this?
I mean, in general, the recommendations that we have are that we're trying to help kids get facts that are developmentally appropriate for them, and at the same time, trying to help them to feel safe. So what we try to emphasize to kids is that, while these incidents are incredibly disturbing, and while they've become more frequent in our country, and that can also be incredibly disturbing, they are still relatively rare, and that we want kids to know the adults in their communities are taking steps to keep them safe. Once we've presented a couple facts to a child, in general, that's the moment where we then just try to ask for their reactions, questions, or feelings. And these things can be nonlinear. They can ask questions, they can have no questions when you talk to them, and then they can want to ask questions 2 days or 3 days later when they've had a chance to hear a few other things.
And if a parent is dealing with their own emotions from this, how can they share or should they share those emotions with their children?
That's a really hard point, is the sense that, we don't want parents to feel like they have to do more than they're capable of. In that, if a parent is really emotionally affected by an incident like this, we don't have to feel they have to somehow, fake it in front of their children that everything is okay. It's that it's okay to let your kids know that you're feeling devastated or sad, or that, you're really angry about what occurred. But it's difficult to be there for someone else if your emotions are dominant in the situation. So a lot of times we'll tell parents, even if you're experiencing a really strong emotional reaction, pick a moment where perhaps your emotions might not be as strong, just so that you can maybe create space for either a young child or a teenager to give you their reactions and kind of expand into that space.
And then with kids of different ages, do you speak with them differently about this topic and their emotions?
Absolutely. I mean, so we have on our website, childmind.org, trauma guides that for speaking to children after frightening or traumatic events that are translated in 12 languages. And when you look at those trauma guides, we divide it into toddlers, kids who are early elementary school age, late elementary school, middle school, and high school. And there's really different strategies for each of those age ranges, in the sense that obviously with toddlers, you're generally just trying to keep them safe because they may not necessarily be privy to a lot of details. With young kids, you might be giving them details like a dangerous thing has happened and a lot of people are hurt, and that's what has a lot of us feeling very, sad or, scared or devastated for that kind of loss. With middle elementary school, they may be hearing a lot of incorrect facts from their friends, so there's reason to kind of talk to them more directly about what's occurred. And with teenagers, it's a lot of giving them space to talk to us about what they're hearing and seeing on social media and how they're reacting to it or how they want to take action, because they're a much more independent stage of development. The only other point I'll add is that younger kids often have difficulty talking things out, particularly in toddler or early elementary school years, and they may actually play it out or draw it out. So being present while they're doing those activities right now is important, just to see kind of what they're projecting onto that canvas.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. What else do you think is important for parents to know during this time?
I think what's also really important is for parents to reach out to other parents, to talk about how they feel scared, and to make sure they feel like their community is taking this seriously and thinking about the safety of their kids. I've seen parents reach out to school principals, to school counselors, to other parents, to their neighbors, just in trying to think about how we can recreate that feeling of safety for kids in the aftermath of an incident like this. And I think for many people, it's also this kind of question of whether or not they want to take space for mourning, or whether they want to take space for action. Or what's also really helpful in helping people to deal with things is just to get back into normal routines while having periodic check-ins as people continue to feel kind of unpredictable emotions around this event.